Did I give you some homework? You have to find out something. You? Yes. So that is not basically finite and infinite. It is something else. It is finite and non-finite. Infinite works don't exist. It's non-finite works. E works and infinite works. Okay, that makes sense. So did you go and find out what are non-finite and finite works? Yeah, but now I non-finite verbs are basically that do not change their form. Finite verbs, they do change their form. Non-finite verbs don't change their form. But that is the basic thing I understood. Yes. So under non-finite verbs, see under finite verbs you basically have the past, present and future. Okay, the types of words. Under non-finite verbs you have the present participles, gerunds, infinitives, and you have the past participles. That comes under non-finite verbs. It is simple. You remember what are gerunds and infinitives, right? Now don't tell me to explain that again. You know?
No, see, I know it's like over here, but I would be able to speak it. Like I can solve the questions.
Okay, fine. I would give you a worksheet on words today too. So it's better you do it in class because if I give you to do it at home, you won't. Right? So let us solve things in class itself. Where are we? We'll just go down to narrows to do this. Okay, I think we have to do this. This is always leaking, oh my god. You have to start from here. Nobody is joining that. Okay, so we will start with gerundial infinitives. Yes. So what do you think? What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word gerundial infinitives? Let us divide this word. Okay, so let us divide this. Gerunds, we know what are gerunds, right? They are basically a verb plus ing that are used as a subject or a noun, right? And what are infinitives? They are basically 2 plus verb. Is it simple now? So like what does gerundial infinitives means? Can you just guess? No. See, if I have an infinitive that I will be using as a subject, then it is a gerundial infinitive. For example, to refresh. Give me a sentence that starts with to refresh.
Starts with
To refresh. So basically you are using this to refresh, this phrase, because we know 2 plus verbs is infinite. So we are using this as a subject.
to refresh your mind before helps you to be productive.
Yes. That is a good sentence. To prepare, and then you give me a sentence for to prepare.
Prepare yourself before exams will be
Beneficial.
Yes.
Oh my god, this looks so scary over there. Then we have to make. What about to make? To make your bed before sleeping. It's a good habit. Okay? This is also easy. I know, next time speaking. Okay, so this concept is simple. Can you give me some more phrases like this that you can use as a sentence, basically the gerundial infinitives? Give me some more examples. Where are your notebooks? Why are you not writing? Make notes, come on. It will help you at the end. This is my concern. You don't need to look into your textbooks because if you try to revise things at the end looking at that book, you will be clearly confused. So refer to your notebook because I think that is something you write until you understand. And this is something that is already provided to you, so you won't be able to understand reading this. Rajata, can you guess what is this? Marker.
That is food. I think
I will let you ask me. So,
well over past regrets will lead you to nowhere.
and that proves that you write quotes.
I think in better.
So we were doing gerundial infinitives. So looking at the board, can you guess what this is?
Verbs.
Yes, 2 plus verb. When 2 plus verb is used as a subject or a noun, then it is a gerundial infinitive. Because gerunds are something verb plus ing used as a subject. For example, swimming is my hobby. Eating is something I like to do. Sleeping is good for health. So we are using verb plus ing as nouns, as subjects. Okay? So here we are using 2 plus verb as subjects. So basically to prepare for your exam, to refresh yourself, to develop a good habit, to make your bed. All these we are using as subjects in a sentence. Then we have participles. What are the two kinds of participles? No, participles. Be confident about your answer and say loudly. Participles are of two types, past and present. Right? What are the features of past participles? I can't hear you. Will you
It becomes eaten.
eaten? Okay, it becomes eaten. But you are giving me an example. Give me some features. As in which form of verb is past participle? V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. Where does it lie?
Past.
Yes. Past perfect is right, but
V4.
V4. Give me an answer like if you are sure about it. It is used in past perfect. Actually, it is whenever you have a perfect tense, then the past participle is used. Okay? It is V3. So we have past participle as V3. What about the present participle? Which form of verb is it? V1. V5. Okay? Give me an example. So you said eaten. And here it can be eating. Can you make a sentence for present participle using the word eating?
I have been eating since the past 5 years.
So you have used the word eating as a verb itself because it is a present participle and not as a subject. Very good. Now let us see what happens when we use participles as adjectives. Okay, so past participle and present participle are used as adjectives because we know that they are used as verbs. These are verbs. What if they are used as adjectives? Can you think of some examples?
We use eaten as an adjective.
anything happen. Don't you think so? Something like that. And for this, we can say a running tap. Okay? So the tap is running. Though not literally, but we know what that means. So the tap is running, and running is used as a verb. Running is a verb which is used as present participle, but it is used as an adjective for the word tap. Okay, so write some more examples. Think of some more examples like this. A deprived man. Downtrodden world. Some examples. The printing machine. Done?
The deprived man may be given a number of resources, but he still nice.
But I only want sequence, the deprived man. Okay, good job. Any other examples for present participle used as an adjective? What happened to your hand? It crashed.
It crashed.
Yes.
Are you okay?
So now let us have some sentences. I would read the sentence and then you would tell me is it correct or incorrect. So listen to me very carefully, okay? You do not need worry about us. You do not need worry about us. Why? What is the correct version?
You do not need to worry.
Yes, not need to worry. And what is to worry? Okay, very good. I bid him quit the organization.
You're right. You need not worry about this country.
You need not worry about this. Because you are adding not, then it just tends to be correct. But without not, you have to add to. What was the sentence? I bid him quit the organization. I bid him quit the organization.
That is not.
Is it wrong or right? I bid him quit the organization. Okay, so this is a rule. Whenever an infinitive is used after verbs like help, watch, bid, dare, hear, let, make, need, and see, then you will not have to. Okay? So if you see all these verbs, don't you think all these verbs are perception verbs? Kind of, help. Help is, it is kind of a feeling. Watch, dare, hear, let, make, need, see. We are perceiving things with our senses. Okay? So whenever you have such verbs, you will not be having to. Okay? So this sentence is actually right. I bid him quit the organization. What does the sentence mean? Do you understand? I bid him quit the organization. Yes. Okay. Then, yes, please. Please go. I agree for helping you out in trouble. Did it just happen? Oh, okay.
ये 17 में क्यों होता है? वो कैसे है? फिर तो किसी को भी करके नहीं सकते।
Oh my God, you got both of your hands? How did you bump like this?
Crash away.
She just crashed. Okay. I'm just imagining like, yes, yeah, I have a wall over and then she was just like, okay, I'm coming and then
Not okay on my mind.
So this happens when you travel by train?
No, actually, I came out of the mind. I arrived at the station at after 4 p.m. I was late.
Your friends are just sympathizing with you. They're not very understanding.
It is bad. I said it's bad. It happens.
Listen to the question. You have a unique laugh. I agree for helping you out in trouble. I agree for helping you out in trouble.
I agree for helping you out.
Maybe I agree to help you out in trouble, not for helping. Okay? I agree for helping you out in trouble. No, it is grammatically wrong. There is no alternative but help him out. There is no alternative but help him out. Right or wrong? Okay, so see, rule, you can just note down some rules now. Rule number 1 was like, when I told you that when you have perceptive verbs, then to won't be used. Okay? The second condition is that when you have words like but, okay, so what is but? It is a contradictor. So whenever you have words like but and except, then to won't be used with the infinitive. So it would just be the verb. So it is wrong to say there is not alternative but to help him out. So this is wrong. The right form is there is no alternative but help him out. What about this? I would rather go for bathing. I would rather go for bathing. Is right? Yes, it is right. I would rather go for bathing. I think it would have been better if it would have been I would rather go for bath. It is also. Being a rainy day, I decided to take my umbrella. Being a rainy day, I decided to take my umbrella. That's good. That's correct. You know what is missing in this sentence? The subject is missing in this sentence. Don't you think? If we start the sentence with being, we are just trying to use the present participle to start the sentence. And whenever we use the present participle to start the sentence without a subject, then it turns out to be wrong. So the right version is basically, it being a rainy day, I decided to take my umbrella. Okay? So being a rainy day, I decided to take my umbrella. So basically you are assigning the subject to a wrong object. So it being a rainy day is a proper one. So what is the reason for taking the umbrella? Because it was a rainy day, not just being a rainy day. Though the sentence is in the same tense, if you see. it being a rainy day and being a rainy day. The tense of the sentence is not changing, but the position of the subject and its meaning, the object is just changing. I like my food boiling. I like my food boiling. What is the right version? Yes. I like my food boiled. I like my water hot. Okay. It depends upon you understanding the situation. It depends upon you understanding the situation. It depends upon your understanding of situation. Right? So here the meaning actually changes. It depends upon you understanding the situation and it depends upon your understanding of the situation. Right? So the second version is like appropriately, the sentence structure is very appropriate if we compare it to first two. Sometimes the best thing is that you don't have to spot the error without the options. You will always have options. So you could actually choose the best one and then you will know. Because if you just read the question, we had solved some questions in the beginning in your book itself, where you just had sentences and you had that ABC kind of thing, where you have to choose is there no error or like which part of the sentence has the error. So that is really very confusing because each and every sentence sounds right because it is making sense to us until it sounds like really absurd, we would say that no, it's not really wrong. So if you have options, then the elimination technique is the best. You can actually see to it that each and every option is appropriately aligned to the grammatical rules. And if you practice, then you will be able to find the right option at once. But if you don't, then each and every option would sound right. It would be very confusing. Avoid to overwrite as much as possible. Okay. Avoid to overwrite as much as possible. What if
avoid overwrite?
Yes. Avoid overwriting as much as possible. Avoid to overwrite. Whenever I read all this, I just think that okay, my teachers used to say all this. And that time everything sounded so right, but now it sounds so wrong. I am accused to teach students. I don't know. So basically, here to teach will be wrong, and teaching students. There are some. There are, I think, some mistakes.
No context of speech. No context.
Okay. But don't you think you could be accused of teaching?
Why would you be accused of teaching? I'm doing an overeating.
You can be. If you offer the same course for like a lesser amount, then the person would think like the people would think that you are doing a social thing, and then students would definitely come to you. So people who were earlier offering the course for a higher amount, they would accuse you. Don't you think?
Teaching?
Yeah, because
Would they be accused
you
of charging more instead of teaching?
because you are actually taking away their business. You are just spoiling their business by offering the same course. Yes.
But even then, they would be accused of charging more than that institute. Why would they be charged of?
But I think this sentence makes sense, but I'm not really sure it might be grammatically wrong because of some printing error. He flew for London. Listen to the sentence. He flew for London at 10 a.m. and arrived there 12 hours later. He flew for London at 10 a.m. and arrived there 12 hours later.
If you follow the sound,
What if I remove and arrive and I would just add arrive? So something. He flew for London at 10 a.m. and arrived there 12 past 8. Now I want you to go behind. Go to, do you have your books? Go to page number 77 and solve this. I'm sure you might have done this in your school a lot. Change the tense. This is so easy. This was my favorite exercise. I used to love doing this. This and also the active and passive voice. Do you know what are active and passive voice? We do that now. That is also an important topic. That topic is not really in your book, but I think that is something important. Okay? So you solve this. I also have another. Project, have you done the homework?
Which one?
The worksheet? Yes. You should have done that, and you did.
It's like a paid time. So,
That's a different thing, but then you should complete this homework too, right? You should assign time for it every week. Also, what about the weekly tasks? Developing a good habit. Do you do it?
yes.
Learning 5 new words every day.
I
You can also write a diary if you want. But yeah, you might have privacy issues, so it's better to write a journal in your phone rather than writing a diary. You write a diary.
mine is opposite. My mother will check my phone, but she won't check my diary, which is right in front of me.
Oh, okay. Like if you have younger siblings, then diary writing is a bad idea. Fine, so you can always use your phone because you have so many privacy options over there. Solve this exercise. This is a very simple one. Here you have past indefinite, future indefinite. Do you know what does that mean?
Ouch.
Don't know? Okay, so try solving the others. The ones that you know. Future perfect, future continuous. Then we'll discuss. Also solve this one. This is also a very interesting one. Page number 78. Fill in the blanks with the appropriate word form. I'll just get that worksheet for you.
Especially how many minutes?
You got that out. What if somebody is giving the wrong knowledge? That person can also be accused of teaching.
I will never be accused of teaching wrong.
Attendance, did you all sign? Write your names and maintain a folder. This will help you at the end. Because in the book you don't have MCQ questions. You have got 10 books, right? For the English. So have you checked the books that are towards the end, like 8, 9, 10? Book number 899.
I think two of them are for like the reading comprehension and two or three.
Yes, so like they just have reading comprehension practice questions. They do not have questions like these, right? That's the reason I'm asking you to maintain a file because you don't have questions like these in your books. And you won't be having such type of questions in the exam. You have that past indefinite, right? Past. Past indefinite. I don't know why they have used the word indefinite, but I think it is simply just simple past tense. Okay? Past indefinite. So you can convert it into simple past tense. When we complete this, we shall start with vocabulary. Okay, so I can make some worksheets for vocabulary where you have to choose this right meaning or you have to give one word for the whatever sentence or you have to complete the sentence using that word. I will make such worksheets. I think it is book number 3 that is all about vocabulary. Book number 1. I think it's book number 1. Yes. Are you done? Will we discuss the answers? You'll be able to read what you are doing.
The teachers able to read, but I don't write like this.
Writing seems like the last page of the answer sheet. Both of them are absent. Like remind me in the next class that I have to give this to them, or else I'll forget. And then they'll miss the subject. Ma'am, Rajendra is done. Because she has written in such beautiful handwriting, definitely she will complete so fast. What is the answer for the first one, Prajakta?
I have written in he will have working in interviews.
He will have.
Future perfect.
Yes. He will have work with diligence. Okay. What about the second one?
I did not allow this to happen.
Yes. I did not allow this. Third one?
He will be driving a horse.
Yes. Fourth one?
The harder he worked, the better it was.
Yes. The harder he worked, right? Yes. Okay. Fifth one?
She will be helping her mother.
She will be helping her mother. Okay, perfect. What about the sixth one, Ananya? Can you tell me? See if it is wrong. You could just.
Most of the people at the work are wanting these.
There would be no IIT. Can you correct her, Harshita?
Most of the people in the world have wanted this.
Have wanted, yes. Most of the people in the world have wanted this. Whenever you have continuous tense, then you have to use IIT. In perfect tense, what do you use? Have, has, or had. Had is used for past perfect, and have
But
has.
even if it's perfect continuous, won't it have one?
Yes. Only if it is perfect continuous or just continuous, then only work is IIT. If it is only perfect, then there would be no IIT. Okay. Seventh one. Ananya?
My trip to US will be successful.
Yes. Eighth one.
Will there be scarcity of each at
Perfect. Ninth one.
I will be running very fast.
I will be running very fast. Yes. Tenth one.
Did you visit that place? Will you visit this place?
Yes. This will remain this only. Now you give me the answers from 11 to 20, Harshita. You haven't done this? You need time? Okay, let us discuss it. Then you can write the answer. The Battle of Haldighati was dash in the 16th century. So this is a paragraph kind of a thing. Maharana Pratap was defeated. Very good. A number of his soldiers were killed. Many of them were taken in prison. Okay, yes, were taken as prisoners.
Simple past would take is to.
Yes, simple past is took.
How would it be taken? But taken changes the form to.
Many of them were took as prisoners. But this does not.
Not the changes the sentence. At the same time, don't won't be applicable.
Yes. So I think was taken was had taken was taken. We say had took, right?
Had took is up and had.
Yes. So I think we can use took with had. We can also use taken with had. So let us go with taken with because it makes sense to.
Many of them had to question nerves.
Many of them were took
If you are
as.
saying were taken prisoner, that means they were taken as prisoners.
So we could say that
But
many of
if
them
you say-
were took as prisoners.
How would then we add an as? That is changing the sentence.
We need to have as over there. We don't have as there.
Yeah, that is why I am stuck.
So you can add a word like this because you have to make complete sense of the sentence, or else it would be wrong formation of the sentence. He escaped to the jungles of Mewar. He was pursued by the Mughal army. Okay. What is the 12th one? One day cricket match for Prime Minister's Drought Relief Fund was played at Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, New Delhi. The tomatoes were picked. Okay. When they were ripe. The entire nation was shook by the revival of the barbaric customs of sati at Deorala, Rajasthan. Many people were killed. A 22-year-old woman, Neelam, was burned. Would be burned or burnt. Was burnt alive. What happened? Did this remind you of a woman who was burnt alive?
Maybe I'm thinking out of so many sentences, this is
Woman journey.
it's coming out of nowhere, Baba.
No, I think all these sentences are about historical norms. One is about
And then
Maharana
the others
Pratap.
were
Then we
subtle.
have
The
Sati.
others were
Ram.
subtle, like they are not directly saying this one is was not alive.
They have actually given all the sentences. Like they have given this context because we have to add the past tense. We cannot talk about the future. So this has already, been happening sometime in the past. Unauthorized huts. Yes. Ice creams. Ice cream was served after dinner. The national anthem was sung after the function. The smugglers were arrested. These type of questions are so simple. Okay, now close your books again. We have we have 1 hour more, right? So for some more time we will deal with this topic and then you can solve your worksheets because I'm not going to give you this as homework with us. Some people don't really complete it. Okay, so active and passive voice. Harshita, tell me what do you know about active and passive voice? You can write those answers later. Yeah? Tell me. What do you know about active and passive voice?
Active voice is when the speaker is directly quoting in a sentence, whatever the speaker is saying is being quoted. Whereas in passive voice, it is being directed towards someone else.
Okay.
You're saying it in an indirect sense instead of a direct sense.
Okay. Fine. So if the speaker is saying something in the active voice, can we say that the focus is on the subject? Yes. So the sentence could be, she is writing a letter. Don't mind my handwriting. Actually, my handwriting is just like you, Prajakta, when I write on the board. My handwriting is better. Okay? Okay, so she would be the subject. Is writing is, what is it? Is writing? Verb. And a letter is object. And what is the structure? It is SVO. But whenever we have a passive voice, then the focus is on the object more than the subject. Okay, so we just have to swap things like this. So a letter is written or was written. Now what is happening over here? Whenever you are directing the sentence into an indirect way, then it would be a past tense. The letter is written by her or the letter was written by. Actually, both of the possibilities are correct, but most of the time, if you have to choose an option, then I think you should go with was written and not is written. Okay, so the letter. Why are you laughing? Why are you smiling, Harshita? I saw you smiling. Okay, because of my handwriting. The letter was written by, she would turn into her. Okay. Now give me a sentence that is in SVO format. Plus, it should be in the present perfect continuous tense. Okay. Give me a sentence. You can use your book and your pen to write a sentence. If you think about it, then you just keep diverting. You can simply convert this sentence also. So it would be she writing, she have been writing a letter. What if I have to convert the sentence into a passive voice without changing the tense? Try this out. She have been writing the letter. So the letter have been written by her. Now what is the situation? You have been and not verb plus ing, but instead you have a past participle. Okay? So this happens whenever you have a conversion from active to passive voice and the sentence is in this form. Instead of having ing, you will be having the past participle because this is basically the focus is on the object and not the subject. Any doubts, Harshita? Give me another sentence that is in future perfect continuous tense and in this format. Let's not take this sentence. Give me some other sentence. This is also ink.
The masses will have been unsatisfied with this.
The masses will have been unsatisfied with the setup. Okay. The masses will have been unsatisfied with the setup. Convert this into a passive voice. I'll write this. The masses will have been unsatisfied with the setup. Okay? So we have this will have been unsatisfied with the setup. Can you convert this? You don't. What do you do for the present? I said it should be in the present perfect continuous tense, right? Future. Yes, future perfect continuous tense. So masses will have been unsatisfied. Don't you think it should be verb plus ing? You know what? Future perfect continuous tense. You know what? This sentence is already in the passive voice because of this structure. As I told you, passive voice में क्या होता है? It won't be, though it is future perfect continuous tense, but rather than having verb plus ing after have been, there is a past simple past tense or past participle. So ये वाला जो sentence है, it is already in the passive voice. इसका active क्या होगा? The setup. Okay. The setup will have been unsatisfying for the masses. Okay. So see, again, you will be having options over here, so don't really get confused. The best way is to basically swap the object and the subject. And you know, I would say 99% of the times you have this word for the passive voice. But that 1% chances that you might not have, just like this. So always follow this rule. If it is in the present tense, then there is a possibility that it would be active. And if it is in the past tense, or basically it has the past participle, then it would be the passive form. This is also another trick that you can use. Okay? So should I give you some sentences? Write down the sentences in your book, convert them into passive. The chef cooks delicious meals. The chef cooks delicious meals. This sentence is in simple present tense. The chef cooks delicious meals. She is singing a song. Yes, you have to, all these sentences are in the active voice, you have to convert them into passive voice, okay? She is singing a song. Then you have, they have painted the house. They have painted the house. He will write a book. He will write a book. The children were playing football. The children were playing football. I make tea. I make tea. The teacher teaches English. The teacher teaches English. He will clean the room. He will clean the room. She was cooking dinner. She was cooking dinner. whenever you have verb plus ing, then in most of the cases, verb plus ing is changed into the word being. Okay? Whenever you have verb plus ing, so if even if it is like in any of the three tenses, you will always have being in the passive voice. And if it is being, what was the sentence? She was cooking dinner. So it is she was cooking dinner. Was cooking is basically past continuous tense. So it would be being, the dinner was being cooked. And what, you know the difference between being and being? It's your homework. Go and everybody has to do that. Okay? So just put a star somewhere on your book on the top and write over there. Then you have to find the difference between being and being. B-E-E-N versus B-E and I-N-G. Okay? B and B.
As in what context? Likewise or use?
Both. If you just put being versus being, not right now. Yeah, I thought you were.
Being is just for past, whereas
Go home
being is
and
just for something that is happening. It is not present.
you go home, search it. Oof. No, I want an elaborated description of SLPSS. Being and being. There are many more uses of being and being. So just go home and find out more usages and also the sense that it creates in the sentence. So all these sentences make them passive. Why are you late, Swaraj? Nobody called you, right? You can share your number with all of you today. They call you to podcast. Would you mind to do that?
Okay, I will be going.
Yeah, if I were you, I would do it. You went to Bangalore. It's a good place to, thrift shop things. You can also go to CST and Kolaba. Like that's way too far away. There you will find better options.
I didn't do street shopping.
Oh, you did not do street shopping. Then why did you go to Bandra?
I did BKC.
That's what BKC is Bandra. That is Bandra Kurla complex. Okay, and in BKC you won't be having thrift shops, but in Bandra you have this linking road where you actually have many shops for thrift shopping business. You can always join through this link if you are late by any chance, so you can join. Because like if they are providing you the facility of this, you should definitely use it. You can join on your phones. Because see, it is preferable if you come to class and attend the session because it is much more interactive over here. You just sit at home watching the board and me, then you will be bored and you will start watching something else on YouTube. That's for sure. So, but like that is just a plan B. Plan A should be coming to class. You need to go and ask that uncle, you know that Prasad uncle, if he has some antiseptic, so you can apply it. You can ask him, they might have it. Because this is, they might have a first aid box with them. You can ask them. Usually, in institution centers, they have a first aid box. First, go and ask them. Sure, you can go now. Because using paper might be a bit problematic. You also have something on your leg. Yes. First go, apply the antiseptic. Why are you laughing at me? I forgot. She's your friend.
I'm imagining how she comes into the world.
That's not. Yeah.
Imagine.
Buffing into a wall won't cause so much damage. Literally, I also on my knee that I saw like some kind of a wound. Really, let's not laugh. That's very painful. This is difficult. This is easy, right? You know what happens in such kind of a sentence is when you have to just convert it, then it is very simple. But if you have four options in front of you, then you will get confused. Okay, so for this kind of sentences, where you actually have to convert. Whenever you have a question like convert the following sentence into this and this tense or this form, whatever is over there. So before looking at the options, you can just close your eyes and think of a sentence in your mind and then try to locate it in the options. Because once you look at the options, you'll be really confused because each and every option might sound right. How much time do you get for like the English component?
I don't just do my time. Because most of the sections we do, so I try to complete it. I do it in a way.
Is it all mixed? No, right? It is divided.
Yes.
Then you should try dividing your time.
But I do it in a way like since I don't know the quantitative section at all and I don't know much of the current affairs section, I do it in a way that I want most accurate answers. So pay attention more to the English section and I will do better in that. Then I go to the legal and then I go to legal.
The worst part is the negative markings.
That is why I don't test my problem.
Yes. Do they have the antiseptic? You want to go down now? Would you like to go down to your friend?
Yes. Why not?
Just can you go down?
Because
Ask the center head first. And that man. Take permission.
I do you don't
Are you done, Swaraj?
If you have any doubts, you can ask. She is singing a song. The song is being sung by a What if I say the song was sung by, right? Is being sung is not the being.
These are possible that
This was as I told you, we are converting it into a passive voice, so always prefer a past tense. The song was being sung by, it's not very important. What is the answer for the first one? Delicious are being cooked.
the delicious work of tradition.
Yes. Work. So see, as he said that it was was being singing, right? This is what you had written. No, I'm talking about that sentence.
The song was being sung by.
Was being, yes. Was being sung is also right. Was being sung. But always remember that here, prefer a past tense.
Don't be prefer to change it in relation to what else the sentence is. Like if it is in simple present, then we convert it to simple past. If it's supposedly in perfect present, then we convert it to past.
Yes, you can do that. But according to me, if you have verb plus ing and the sentence is in SVO format, that is basically the active voice. So having been in the passive is preferred. Okay, so go for that. Whatever you have in your mind, just assume it, and you will definitely have that option. If your sentence is completely different rather than the options, then it is absolutely wrong. But you will always get cues from the options, so don't get confused. Always stick to the rules. What is the answer for the next one? Yes, the song is Samba. Very good. The third one?
The house has been created.
Perfect. Fourth one?
With written by.
Yes. And the fifth one?
One was played by the children.
Yes. Sixth one, you need to give me the answers. Has been made.
Was made by me.
Yes. P was made by me. Simply. Has been done. क्या चला?
I made me for the role of character.
So the sentence is in simple present. इसको सीधा रखते हैं ना being क्यों डालना है? I was making, I am making में भी होता तो being आता है.
It's being made.
Is being. He is being. I think first sentence is better. Complicate भाई क्यों करना है complicate? ठीक है?
Passage complicated करके तो होता है.
If the sentence is
Exactly.
if the sentence is simply in the simple tense, being past, present, or future, don't try to complicate it. Simple here. The next one. The teacher teaches English.
English was our language.
Here you will have English is not language. You know why? Because this is a fact.
It's not I don't English is beautiful.
Yes. This is a fact. This is not an action.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just telling you if you might have assumed कि वो was होगा. So see, if it is an action that is taking place in the present, तो फिर वो was हो जाता है. But अगर वो एक fact है, the teacher teaches English, तो वो तो कल भी पढ़ा रही थी, आज भी पढ़ा रही है, वैसे भी पढ़ा रही है. So इसके लिए वो is ही रहेगा. ठीक है? What is the next one? He will clean the room.
The room will be cleaned by.
Perfect. Last one.
Dinner was being cooked by.
Yes. Dinner was being cooked by. Very good. Yes, your worksheet is over here. You can all solve these worksheets. Let me go and apply the practice at it. You can solve the worksheet. Have you done your homework? Adjectives.
Tenses.
Just
Maybe go book के उस वाले में guys नहीं. Worksheet.
Back station.
You are not given you and say homework. Or आपके साथ क्या हो रहा हो. Don't worry. That's okay. So like it's a lesson for me that I should make you solve the worksheets in class only. Also, one more thing, I want you to time yourselves. Have you all started? Just remind me from the next time. I would just have the timer with me, and I would give you a specific time to solve the worksheet. That you know how much you do that particular time. So you can just have 7 minutes to solve 25 questions. Now you have started already, so that's okay.
In the next class, we will do figures of speech. We also have this topic conditional select. I think that is also a very simple one. After this, I will complete that. And after that, we have prepositions. That is also a very simple one, but we'll do that in the next class. So next time we can do figures of speech and prepositions. This duster needs to be sprayed with carbon. Might be like the board is not being erased. Just look at this, what is happening. Doubts? Once you find solving grammar, try to have some kind of prediction in your head, then look at the options. Because this is a quite simple one, but in the exam you might have difficult questions. Wherever you have to choose, like an example, there you cannot think of anything. But wherever you have to convert the sentence or you have to fill in the blank, so as soon as you read the line or the sentence, the blank should be automatically filled.
by row. And then, that is basically you have achieved the level of proficiency. If you can do that without reading the options, you can guess the word without reading the options. You don't even have to guess, your mind will automatically fill in the blank.
Like this, after CLAT, you have two types of degrees, right? 3 years and 5 years. 5 years for master, and 3 years for bachelor's. Like that. You all might be art students, right? No?
Commerce, science.
Oh, okay. Because of what happens, there is this political science subject in arts that helps you a lot for the class. It is not very vast. Then that is a different thing. But usually from like 11, 12, you have this political science, and that is a compulsory subject in arts. And that helps you a lot for that. You're a science student, then I have no idea because I am personally an art student. So I know that. So also check them because political science is a major component of CLAT. So that gives you ample knowledge. You will have to study 2 years political science, and that is a compulsory subject.
But
I think-
aptitude, everything is.
Yes. You have the CBSE board. Because in SSC board, political science is compulsory. CBSE board, what happens in CBSE board, they do not follow a particular pattern. They choose their own textbooks, they choose their own subjects. So the state board, they have the prescribed textbooks everywhere, and they have to follow them. So, that's the reason usually art students go for CLAT. That's okay because of anything, anybody can do anything. When I was doing my master's in English literature, I had people who had completed their master's already in accountancy, but still they were doing their master's in English literature. Like both of the subjects have no relation with each other. Where is accountancy and where is literature, but still they were doing it. This is all possible after NP 2020. Earlier it wasn't allowed. A science student, I don't think so. I would be able to give the art. Just like an art student would be able to give JE or NEET. Okay? After NP, sorry. Is it done? Huh? After class, you can just take notes from all three of them about whatever you have missed. Last time also she was not there, huh, Shreya? Last time she was there.
was there.
Okay.
And then before last class.
Should we discuss the answers? Okay, Swaraj, give me answers from 1 to 10.
See, I have given second E,
Yes.
E, they had EDT lunch. He was praised by the teacher. Fifth, A, future perfect. Sixth, C, I am valuing acid. Seventh, C, he has been studying since morning. Eighth, A is going to market. E is, oh, sorry, A is going to market. Ninth, B, future perfect. And A,
Yes. You were born. See, last time we had a talk about this. If I were B, right? If I were you, if I were he. And then you were like, you were just saying. And we also had to talk about why it is were and not words. Did you find the answer for this? And if I was him,
If I was comes from a very old use, whereas this one, like Indian English is there, many people use it, so it's not best.
but like if you have such a question now in conditionals, we actually have that. If I were he, and not if I was him or if I was he. It is if I were he. Okay? That is the correct structure. Give me the answer from 11 to 15, Harshita.
With the question of only yours,
Only the option.
A past perfect, where A I am not coming,
Yes.
13 I go to school,
Right.
14 C has been,
Okay.
15 C present perfect continuous, 16 D a letter was written by them, 17 I shall be calling you, 18 I was going, 19 has, 20 ongoing action from past to present, 21 have been called, 22nd past continuous passive, 23rd when, 24th who, and then 25th I have not solved.
What is the 24th one?
24th,
No, the answer to 24th one is yes. What would be the last one, Harshita? Yes. This worksheet was a simple one. Next time I will make another worksheet on verbs. The level would be harder. Okay. Let us see what are conditionals. What is the time? We complete this. This is a very simple topic. So what do you understand by the word conditionals? Swaraj, now you answer. Because they have already, answered a lot when you were not here. Okay, right. See, I told you I talked about a trick of decoding words, metaphor. What is that? Morphological analysis, yes. So this word is condition. If you remove the suffix, what is the meaning of a condition? Condition basically, if your mom tells you that if you score more than 90%, I will give you an iPhone. That is a condition, right? So conditionals are all about having conditions. Do you know what is the adverb clause of condition? Adverb clause of condition is basically if you score more than 90% marks, I
shall buy you a. Okay, so this is the condition. Now in this, can you tell me which is the main clause and the subordinate clause in the sentence? That is a subordinate clause. Very good. And the main clause is entirely this. Okay. So if you the subordinate clause, it always starts with the condition. And you know, whenever you have to identify conditional sentences, they start with if most of the time. But sometimes you have sentences that don't really start with if, but you have the tone of the condition in that sentence. Where you know that in order to get something, you will have to do something. So as I said, in order to get good marks, you will have to study. So this is also a condition, but I'm not starting it with if. Okay. So there are three types of conditions. One, we have the realistic, then we have the unrealistic, and the last one we have is the closed condition. What could be a realistic condition? Any guess?
Thing which can be done.
Yes. And you know something, as you said, which can be done. So that action can be like, for example, something like this. So you have this word shall. I can also replace it with will. So this is basically a realistic condition. Okay, so it has words like will or shall, where the action, if the particular action takes place, then the result would occur. But the condition is that it will definitely take place in the future, right? And it is realistic. Unrealistic is something like that when you know the event has already been taken place, and if you are just thinking of changing a particular situation into a desired result, that is unrealistic. Don't you think so?
Just basically having.
So can you give me an example? Like, I think you can use the word could over here. If I studied well, if I would have studied well, I could have scored better marks. Something like that. But that is unrealistic because your results are already out. You cannot go to the past and change the situation. But this is unrealistic. Can you give me more examples? I want examples from all four of you for the unrealistic condition. Think about something.
If I would have saved more money, I would have gone at that trip.
Yes. So it is again a closed, an unrealistic condition.
I would go back in time. I would enjoy it.
That is right. Actually, the could should be used over here in the subordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunction, okay? So where are you supposed to use could? Somewhere over here, and not in the rest of the sentence. So I think you need to modify your sentence. You said that if I would have. So if you say if I would have, that would become a closed condition. Because that is would plus have plus you have a past participle. Okay, so this should come under the subordinate clause. All these should come under the subordinate clause only. Can you give me an example for could, as she said? What was your sentence? If I could go back in time,
I would have enjoyed it.
I would have enjoyed it. But again, it is could. That is not really possible, it is unrealistic. Can you give me an example?
In general,
With could.
If you have an example for this, what do you think you have an example for this? Would have plus past participle. Note this down and also write the examples. For example, if I would have written the letter, I would have looked for the grammatical errors. Something like that. The condition is would have plus past participle. Unrealistic also occurs when you have some kind of a wish. Then it is unrealistic, of course, because it is a wish. But whenever you have a closed one, then it is not a wish. That is something that has already been occurred in the past and that was a realistic event. But why it is called closed? Because you cannot really change it. Okay? That is a closed one. So the structure is simple, realistic, that might happen in future. Could, you are just assuming and wishing that that particular thing should happen. And this thing has already happened in the past. And you were assuming that if this could have been done, the outcomes would have been better. So Raj, can you think of an example? Give me an example for closed or unrealistic.
India should play football.
Also, you have to use the past participle. Just eat, ate, and eaten. Okay, so this is B1, this is B2, this is B3. Oh, sorry. Eaten. Okay. What happened, Harshita? What did you just see? Okay. Interesting. Like you give such strange expressions that I have to come to your place and ask what happened. Either Ananya will laugh or she will give some expressions. Prajakta, what does Prajakta do in class?
Google face.
She focuses in class. Good. What about Swaraj? What do you do in class?
He violently answers in maths.
Oh, you're good at maths. No? After this, you have maths class also.
Yes.
So, what do you think? Maths is hectic or grammar is hectic?
Maths.
Maths, right? Grammar is easy if you use the language in your day-to-day life because you cannot really use maths in day-to-day life. Like till date, I never used trigonometry in my life, but I still learned it when I was in school. But language you can use daily. So one thing which is easy, maths. You can use simple mathematics, but not those formulas daily in your life. Did I say something wrong? Okay. Give me some example. I'm waiting for you, Swaraj. Give me some example for this.
If I could do Punjab, I would have eaten chole bhature.
Oh my God, okay. That was a mouth-watering example. Very nice. So that is a unrealistic. That's an unrealistic condition because you are just expressing a wish. You can make it possible. That is not really unrealistic, but it would come under the unrealistic form. If you give me an example for the closed one, the closed. See, the major difference is realistic. You got what is realistic? Something. If you work towards it, it
What
will
condition it will happen in the present?
not in the present, in the future.
No, it will happen.
Yes, in the future sometime. For unrealistic, you are actually expressing a wish. For example, if I could be the genie, I would make people disappear. Something like that. Because that is really, see, now I'm giving you an example that is really unrealistic. But the example that he gave us was also, that was not really unrealistic because it is possible for him to go to Amritsar and try Chole Bhature.
But if someone is sitting in jail,
Oh, okay. So you are just trying to complicate the situation, but your example was possible, but it was a wish, right? It was just a wish. Right? So it would come under unrealistic. Closed is basically something, the action that has already taken place in the past, and you cannot really change it in future. In future, in the sense, also in present, you cannot really change it. So if I would have worked harder, I would have scored better. Okay? If I say if I could work hard, I could score better, then I'm expressing a wish. And I could make that possible if I really work hard because it is not really unrealistic. But whenever you say would have, so that event has already taken place and you cannot do anything about it. Right?
Is it compulsory for it to be like would have or it can be normal
What is normal?
as in simple past?
Give me an example. But how will you express? See, these conditionals are always in this format. What is this? So you know which kind of a sentence is this? This is the complex sentence. You know the three types of sentences, right? It is simple, compound, and complex. Okay? So this is a complex sentence where you have a main clause and a subordinating clause. Basically, the main clause that is an independent clause and the subordinating clause is known as the dependent clause. So here, which is the subordinating clause? Subordinating clause is the dependent clause. Okay? So whenever you have a complex sentence, you cannot have simple past tense because the simple past tense is always in this format. SVO and this format is the simple format. But the conditional sentences are always supposed to be complex. So they cannot exist in simple past. Are you understanding? Then give an expression of approval, yes, no. Okay, I was saying something, okay. I'm not really understanding. If you don't understand, then I can give you some examples and then I can make you understand. Tell me if you don't understand. So, Raj, did you understand? Okay, I'm talking about this. It's like the conditional sentences, they are in which format? Complex. What if I have to, give out a conditional sentence that is in a simple format? Can I? No. Okay, I wanted to hear no from him. We cannot. Pay attention over here. Why are you looking out of the window? We are not really small kids. I'm not supposed to say this to you, but please look over here. Okay. Any doubts with this? Yes. Now the next one is if I were he. So it is if I were he. Now, you remember we had learned about the pronouns. Do you know the nouns for the notes for the pronouns? No, the notes have changed. There were some types of pronouns, if you remember. So basically, you had three types of pronouns. That was nominative, accusative, and genitive, if you remember. If we have a nominative pronoun, what is a nominative pronoun? When the pronoun is given, when a pronoun is used as a subject, it is a nominative pronoun. When it is used as an object, it is an accusative pronoun. And when it is used as a possession, then it is a genitive pronoun. Okay?
So when I say if I were he, so this becomes the subject because he comes under nominative pronoun, right? He is the nominative pronoun and him becomes the accusative pronoun because we are using him as the object. If I say that I will give my book to him, so him becomes the, I will give my book to him. Him becomes the indirect object actually, but it is the object, right? But here in this sentence, we have to use this as a subject, and hence we will be using he and not him. If I were him, sorry, if I were he, and you're like, if you ask me what is I then, can you tell me what is I? In these cases, especially there is S1 and S2. That is the first subject and the second subject. Both of these play equal roles of being a subject in the sentence. Okay? If I say that I kicked him. Okay, in this sentence, him would become the object clearly and I would become the subject. But only because we have a conditional over here, we will be having two subjects. Because if you see I, he, she, and they. So I is basically first person pronoun and these are basically third person pronoun. And all these they come under nominative pronouns. Nominative pronouns are used as subjects. So there are two subjects in this. And why do we use were? Why not was?
Sentence would be
But there is a
then
reason.
you are bound to use it.
So basically, when we have two subjects, we would be using were because it is a conditional clause and we have two subjects over here. So if I were he, would be the right because we have two subjects. Okay. So always remember this rule. Though if I was him, sounds better or sounds correct to some, but it is wrong. We have some exercises for conditionals. It is such a small one. Okay, let me tell you some sentences. If I had been there, I would make a speech. If I had been there, I would make a speech. Let me make a speech. There is the leap. If you use if and I together, always remember that after I, there would be were. Okay? Were is supposed to be there. Now here we had two subjects, we were using were, but here we have only one subject, still we will be using were only. So the correct form is, if I were there, I would make a speech. If I were there, I would make a speech. This is the correct form. Then, if I would have a degree from that university, I would get a job. If I would have a degree from that university, I would get a job. Correct? No, I'm not I'm talking about the type. I'm just asking you, is the sentence correct or wrong? Listen to the sentence. If I would have a degree from that university, I would get a job. This sentence is wrong because the use of the word would is twice. So if you have would in the, this is the subordinating clause, and this is the main clause. If you already have would in the main clause, you do not need to use would in the subordinating one. Okay, so here the correct form is, if I had a degree from that university, I would get a job. So you don't need to repeat would in the subordinating and the main clause. एक में भी होगा तो चलेगा. Don't have an exercise for this. What is this? This is not an exercise for it. Here are some of the questions. Crime and punishment. What happens if you don't do your homework? What happens? Teacher will do nothing if the teacher is like, do it the next day. Why is that punishment? That's okay. That's like just your wish. If you want to do it, it's for your good. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. You're not anyways having any marks for it. So if you have marks for it, then the teacher would be behind it doing homework for it. That's okay. What happens if you don't bring your athletics clothes to school? That's, I think, not applicable in India. What happens if you fail your math exam? This font is so weird. What happens if you fail your math exam? Your parents might kick you out of the house. What happens if you forget your pencil? What happens if you are late to school? So basically all these sentences, they are in the form of an interrogation. They are asking a question. And if you see the structure of these sentences, what happens if you forget your pencil? So see, the sentence is starting with what happens, and then we have the conditional if. This sentence, it is an interrogative sentence, and hence it is in this format. Where is this? Okay, I erase this. It is in the compound format. Because the word if is acting as a conjunction. Okay, what happens if? What happens if you are late for school? What happens if you wear your shoes inside the school? What happens if you stay outside till 12 midnight? In India, that's possible. The kidnapping is the other thing. My parents won't allow me home, so I should be back before 12. What happens if you are late for an appointment with your friend? Who cares? What happens if you are noisy during class? So what you can do is, you can go home and you can just read this thing once. This is a very simple topic. In the next class, we will be solving another worksheet for verbs. I will make a worksheet for conditionals also, and we will start with the figures of speech. Also, I have to make a worksheet for active and passive. I have to make 3 worksheets. Thank you. Anything to ask? Anything to say? Well done. And I have to tell you that please take care. Don't crash. You don't need to crash with things, but it's okay if you will be 15 minutes late for class. I'd still accept you in, just like I accepted Swaraj. 1 hour late. But at least he didn't crash.
No, it just happens with me when if I'm running or not running.
Fine. Please take care. Can you keep this with you?
Keep this
I'm able to share the next class. Is this
Depends on such a how
you have the next class from?
6:15.
You can have a break now. But I think I don't want to start anything new right now. I don't even want to erase the board to start anything new. Okay? So we start with a new topic from the next class. Do you like reading poems? Like reading poems?
We can.
If you're forced. But I think figures of speech is all about that.
Is an example. Figures of speech.
Can you have a poem in that, like, we can find maximum figures of speech? If you might have read such kind of a poem. That should not be a too long one. It should be of 20 to 25 lines maximum. Fire and Ice, like it's a short poem and you don't have many figures of speech. Okay, so what you can do is you can just find a poem. I'm giving you the task. That is not more than 20 to 25 lines, but it should have many figures of speech. So we can use it as an example in class to find out figures of speech. Okay? Because you like reading poems, I think that would be a good task for you. I will also, from my end, get some poems. The best part about reading poems is definitely the figures of speech and the meaning that they convey. Right? Only because of figures of speech we get to know what is the true sense or the true essence of the poem that they want to convey. If we go with the literal meaning of the poem, then it is like, it's very vague, I think. It is not at all interesting. But when we now, the Fire and Ice that you were talking about, that is also a very deep poem, or very nice. It is just, I think, an 8-line poem, right? But it has such good figurative meaning. If the literal meaning is like simple, but the figurative meaning is so good. So like I can write 8 pages on that poem, that is so good. But don't find a poem like that. I want a poem that is up to 25 lines, so that we could study the lines. Because anyways, we can write a critical analysis on any poem. Even if it is an 8-line poem or an 80-line poem. But then for figures of speech, we need a good number of lines. You can just go through conditionals and let me know if you have any doubts in the next class. And if you have not done your homework, please do the next time so that we can discuss the answers. We shall. Yeah, and you can share your number with that. Right? So,